Being grounded in presence is one of those phrases that can mean so many different things. And it can mean that we're aware of what's going on in the present moment. In this particular instance, because we're talking about traumatic memory and the value and really the only way that we can update those memories is from the present moment. So it could be grounded in the present moment as well, would be another title for this. So, whatever that means for you, and when we're talking about this, we're talking about something in words that we can't really describe in words. It's a felt sense. We can use words as pointers to it, but it really is our own unique experience. Everyone has the capacity to be aware, to be mindful, focused, to understand our lives and other people, to understand the world we live in, to understand our experience. And we all have the capacity to be compassionate, kind, to be on our own side, to be friendly towards ourselves, to work and heal enough that we aren't resisting or that we're not against ourselves. And I know that to be true from my own experience and from working with so many other people, that we don't have access to this 100% of the time. Some people probably do, but most of us don't. And then we kind of notice that we've gotten hooked by something. That's usually how it happens. And then we notice that we're not aware of our basic goodness or our Buddha nature or whatever words that we might like to use for that. There's a still, silent experience or presence, or however we might want to say. There's something deep in all of us that we recognize as stillness. And all of the trauma, all of the disturbance of the mind, the catastrophic thinking, all of that is what takes us away from knowing that or from having a present moment experience of that more often. I'd like to take a little bit of time here or us to do a little inquiry. What is the evidence of your own goodness? And I've written a few things down here, and there are others too. So I'll just slowly go through them. And if you wanted to write down what comes up for you, how do you know that you're good? And you might not believe that you are. That's possible too. But what is the evidence? If you really look at it, what's the evidence that there is some basic goodness in you? That human beings have goodness. And one of the ways that we know that is that we have a body and a nervous system that's trying to help. It tries to help protect us from danger. We have a primitive brain. And as we feel that pain in our back or the clench in our gut, it doesn't feel like our nervous system and our body mind is trying to help. It often feels like it's hurting or there's something wrong. Even the way that we come up with these explanations for, I'm not loved as a child, so I must be unlovable. And if I just do this or this, then I will be safer, I'll be loved. We can see if we take that step back that that's actually a way that our system is trying to help us get through. What comes up for you thinking about that? Your body and nervous system are trying to help. They help protect us from danger with their strategies. And another thing that comes up for me all the time is when we do our daily practice, and at other times as well, when we feel safe, our body relaxes. So, obviously, the basic condition of our body is soft, relaxed, ready for whatever might come along. We have ways to get ready for things. More blood goes to the limbs if we have to run or something like that. But as soon as we feel safer, we start to relax. And then we have the habits, holding our breath or tightening our body. But this is also true. Our body wants to be relaxed. Our breath is naturally diaphragmatic, smooth, even. And if it's not, then that's because there's something that's gotten in the way of that. And that we can understand the way our mind works and really see the good intentions behind compulsive thoughts and the inner critic. We can work with that push or aggressive energy, that kind of urgency to be perfect, to get it right, and know that a lot of that momentum is caused by not wanting to be shamed, not wanting to make a mistake. There's good intentions. When we have a lot of catastrophic thinking, it's because we're trying to predict the future so that we could protect ourselves from danger. And there are these qualities of being a human too, our ability to have hope even in dark times, to be optimistic for the future, resilience, trust, courage. And as much as hurt people can hurt us, or we might hurt ourselves or others through our own pain, that's not our natural condition. Humans have an immense capacity to love and a real need to connect. This picture is my granddaughter, a cedar tree out in the forest in the mountains in British Columbia, and my dog Shanti when she was a puppy. And you all have these too. We all have things that make our heart get kind of warm. There's a reason why people watch babies giggling on Facebook. Take a moment and feel into what are some of the things, some of the people or the beings, the experiences that open your heart. And right now, we're not really letting in anything that's negative. If negative things come in, just put that to the side for now. That's not what we're doing. Really focus in on your capacity for love. And what opens that up for you? Notice if it's mental pictures, oftentimes images of someone that we care for, or this kind of thing makes our body relax. Our breath might get smoother. What's your experience with that? Our capacity for love is one of the ways that we know our own basic goodness. And when we get caught up in busyness or aggression in our mind or resistance, which happens to all of us, it can make it feel like we don't have very good access to our inner silence, to a sense of being okay. So let's take a moment now to feel into that. What is it that pulls you away? And notice your body as you're doing this. Stay really present. We're not looking specifically for details necessarily, just what are the kinds of patterns that pull you away? For many of us, it would be getting kind of a snub socially or being afraid, hearing someone's voice that reminds us of being abused, or there's so many ways that that could happen. Or it's just the mind is compulsive. We have a hard time not getting caught up in the mind and the fear. It might be when we're tired, angry, stressed, hungry, that we don't have the same resilience and strength. And look at each one of those for a moment and then come back into your body and remember, what does it feel like when you're not caught up? What's your experience then? And keep coming back to being present. One of the ways we could do that is by being aware of what's going on right now in our body, our breath, our mind. When you get caught up in something, what changes? Our breathing pattern usually changes, our thoughts, our body often tightens up. And then take a few deep breaths, move your body around if you want. And then notice, what does it feel like to come back, to kind of settle in, let your shoulders drop. Let any negative thinking move to the background. Notice your seat on the chair, your feet on the floor. Notice that right now in this moment, you could be present to yourself again. Notice what it feels like when we're in our body, when you're taking some breaths and being aware of that. And let's take a few minutes here. What does it feel like to rest? It's quieter when the mind settles, when we're not thinking about what could go wrong, or we're not ruminating about something that we wish had gone differently. The thoughts in the mind then tend to be more mundane. They don't have the interest for us that what if scenarios do or ruminating does. If you were to stay really present and in tune with yourself for a couple of minutes, let's do that and notice what that feels like. One way that we sometimes work with that is to imagine that our thoughts are like the surface of a lake. And as we let our attention go down into the stillness, things are a lot quieter. We're not so absorbed in the passing and going of thoughts. Focus in on whatever stillness is here in your body, in your breath, in your mind. Follow the stillness for a moment. And take some deep breaths. Stay really grounded and centered in your body. Notice if you are on your own side. If you were to drop these words in right now, I'm on my own side. I love myself. I support myself. I enjoy being with myself and getting to know myself. Notice what that feels like. Your mind might argue a little bit. We could let that be here too. If you want, you could even put your hand on your heart. I love myself. I'm interested and supportive and friendly with myself. We don't have to make it into a perfection thing. If it feels better to say, I'm willing to get to know myself more, I'm noticing I'm starting to be more supportive and friendly. Notice what it feels like in your body. Stay stable and grounded through your body. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel your breath, the sensation of air moving in your nose, the way your belly softens as you breathe out. And from this stability, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but stay aware that you're doing a practice, that you're looking at some things. One of the things that most of us have experienced really directly is that when we're afraid, everything shuts down. We are not as creative. We're not as funny. If we're in a social situation and we're nervous or anxious, it's not a good ground for connecting with other people. So we miss out on a lot when we have fear in our system. And we have fear because we've been hurt and we're afraid of being hurt again. So the slide says non fear is the basis of true happiness. Let's pause here again for a moment. What's your reaction or your response to that? What are some of the ways that fear gets in the way of you being happy, of you being present with yourself? Fear is the basis of a lot of catastrophic thinking, a lot of inner critic thinking. Let's give this a couple of minutes, see what comes up for you. I would be happier if I wasn't afraid or anxious. And you might even have a list of things coming up of examples. When I'm present with myself, and then some inner critic comes along, and I start thinking about all of those times when I didn't feel safe, or, that time in third grade when I was shamed or left out, or that time when I was, all of those examples we have. So notice if you could allow whatever's coming up to come and to stay present and grounded in awareness in your own body, that you're still paying attention, you're noticing. You may not have those kinds of things coming up, and that's okay. Maybe you want to stop for a moment and give some reassurance to yourself at that age. We could heal some of those moments right now just with our presence. And notice if anything is taking you away, or is it okay to be here right now? Be present, be aware. And feel into this. What can you trust? It's really true that we can't always trust other people. And that when we didn't have safety when we were growing up, that has a big impact. That's true. It's true that we often get carried away into some kind of codeficiency belief or an emotional flashback. We start to feel bad. And it can take us a while to kind of recover ourselves. And all of the healing that you've done, what is it that you could trust? And feel into that. Maybe your mind is busy discarding things. Well, I think she wants me to say I could trust myself, but in fact, I turn against myself all the time. And here's 5 examples. You want more? I've got another 50. So, right now, we don't have to make this a perfection issue. Right now, can you trust just being with yourself? Can you trust that you'll always come back, even if the mind takes you into something? Maybe you can trust your willingness to keep coming back to being kind. Notice your whole body, your whole experience, your breath. What seems solid? Where are you grounded? Maybe you can trust your willingness to have good intentions towards yourself, your willingness to heal. Stay aware, notice your experience. Notice that some of this is coming from the mind, the thoughts, the brain, and the head. And let yourself move deeper into your heart, into your knowing. What do you know? What does your heart know? And then let everything go. Let the practice go. Let the inquiry go. And just rest for a moment. And when all the busyness of the mind settles, and you're sitting in awareness, in your heart, in your being, let yourself rest there.